Hi, how are you doing, my friends? I hope you're doing fine. Welcome back to Verified Soul and to today's video. We now know up to what case numbers the visa interviews for the month of January will go, and this is for the various regions. This has been published in the recent visa bulletin, that is the visa bulletin for the month of December, and that visa bulletin lists the cutoff numbers for the various regions for the month of January. In other words, it affects the visa interviews scheduled in the month of January. And from the look, we can see that there was some kind of a leap from the previous visa bulletin. The cutoff numbers for the various regions, they leapt significantly. For example, for the region of Africa, it jumped by 7,500. And for Europe, it doubled. That is to mean from 6,000 to 12,000. And we see from Asia, it leapt by around 2,500. For the North America, it jumped by 18. So overall, you can see that there was a major leap. And this, therefore, raises some issues of concern. Some people will be happy while others are confused. They don't know how to react. And all this is because of that leap. But I want to clarify on several issues. The first issue is on what this visa bulletin means to the DV Lottery 2025. And on the same note, why this leap? Let me start with this. That I know there are people here that don't get what I'm saying. They are wondering, what is the visa bulletin? Yes, you need to know this. Bear with me if you know of it. The visa bulletin comes monthly, and as the word says, it gives the information about the various categories of visas, including the diversity visa. Up to what point has it reached, and up to what point will it reach for a particular month. And you need to track this visa bulletin if you don't know. This will tell you exactly when to expect your case to be scheduled for an interview. That one I know majority of you know, but if you didn't know, then you've known it. So coming back, is this leap normal, and what does it mean? This kind of leaps, we've been experiencing them throughout the past DV lotteries, so it's not a surprise. You might find in some months there is a major leap, where others there is just a small leap, if there is any at all. And this might be affected by basically two things: the speed of the embassies in terms of interview schedules, and the speed at which KCC processes the DS-260 form. And the speed at which they process also might be affected by the time when the DS-260 forms are submitted. So coming to the first one, the speed of the embassies. So if the embassies that are handling these diversity visa cases perform well, that is beyond the limit of the previous cutoff numbers in the previous visa bulletin, then there will be a demand to increase the cutoff numbers to avail more cases to be scheduled for an interview. And the contrary is also true. If the performance of the embassies decrease, and by so affects the number of cases they have handled, and therefore creating a backlog, that means the demand for more cases will not be there, and therefore there might result in there being no increase in the cutoff numbers in the visa bulletin. So it all depends with that. And then number two, if in a particular month, KCC are not able to process enough cases to increase the cutoff numbers, regardless of whether the embassies are well performing, then there will be no enough cases to cause a leap or an increase in the cutoff number for that particular visa bulletin. I hope you've gotten that correctly. So when we analyze the current visa bulletin for the month of December, this leap might have been caused by the following. Between the first visa bulletin for this DV Lottery 2025 and the second visa bulletin, there was hardly no leap or a small leap for certain regions. And that was because the embassies were just beginning to handle the DV Lottery 2025. They had not taken up to speed. And therefore, you find out that during the first month or months, that is the month of October and November, the cases that were handled at the embassies were not that large in terms of numbers. And therefore, there was no need to increase the cutoff numbers. But after those 2 months, probably the embassies have done it. They have increased the pace, and therefore there was need for an increased cutoff numbers to avail the visas. And on the same note, remember that even if there are just few embassies that are up to speed, that will also cause an increase in cutoff number. Few embassies performing well will also cause an increase in cutoff number, just to avail the cases for them. Therefore, the cutoff numbers might have increased because of the increased demand, because of the speed of the embassies. That could be one of the reasons. And we've seen this playing in the previous DV years. These have been happening. It's a recurring process. You might also expect in some later months the visa bulletin to also behave the same, while in other months there might necessarily be no leap or just minor leaps. So it is apparent. And remember very well that this is not to show that the visa cutoff numbers will continue to increase at the same pace. No, that is not a proof. It does not show that. But in any case, if the increase continues to increase significantly, large enough, it might end up causing what we call becoming current. That is in the later months of the fiscal year. Some regions might become current, as we've seen in the previous years. So if the speed continues, then some regions might become current. And since we know that Trump has won and he will soon be coming into office, and we know that he doesn't present a positive vibe regarding the immigration. So we expect that he might do something that can affect this, that can even slow the process down. And this is what might also lead to the current status of a specific region. Though we are not praying that he does something that affects this. And lastly, but not least, remember that it all depends with your case number. That is regarding the interview scheduling and also about your embassy performance. Even if the cutoff number leaps significantly, but maybe your case number is so high, or even if it is low enough to be under the cutoff number, but your embassy does not perform to task, then the cutoff number might be increasing, but you remain without an interview schedule simply because of that reason. About your case being scheduled, it will depend with those factors. So we need to just remain hopeful and expect the best to happen. So guys, I hope that explains it all. But if you have any relevant question regarding the same, please don't forget to ask it on the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not. That helps our metrics. And also like the video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and invite them to this channel. Let's meet in the next video.